Comes from half back, gave a handball, now they share it around and Shield got on the end of it and he chips the ball in front of McDonough. Just wants to go up the line now. He does. Puts his ball, ball's on the ground. Plays 26.
I'm Megan.
Footy parking at ground level, just lost his feet. Whitney gathered it, he slipped the tackle just in the nick of time. Around the line, crossed it before Chalice goes up. We'll see another throw. Defensive side of centre wing. Wilson with a hand. That Buddy might have taken. Sellers pops up, back. Forward, good contest there from Driscoll. The ball back into play. It was 2-on-1 in favour of Geelong. McLeod just paddled it along the line towards Chalice, but couldn't keep it in. We're back where we started that little passage of play, out of side, half forward from Maryborough Castlemaine. The umpire will throw it in. 2 kicks from goals, he spins it back into play. Up they go. Towards McLeod again, he just lost his feet, got plenty of support coming through though. Chalice kicks it, nice kick it was too, finds Parker who marks it, grandstand side wing. Gee, ugly kick off the boot, but it's okay, it was still to advantage. It didn't spin right, but it went in front of Pittman and he could run on and mark it just inside the boundary line. He wheels it in looking for Miller, off hands, ball rebounds to Josh Driscoll, hard against the line, goes back to Sellers. Sellers sweeps it into Reid, awkward run for the big man, he did it well on the bounce. Back to Driscoll, back to Sellers, hard against the boundary line, he goes across the field of play, and that was a good kick. Found Pat Cummings in the back pocket. Now he's got an option to switch it, he doesn't use that. Instead he goes down the line, and Murray Bond, who will chip it back to Sellers. We've seen Maryborough Castlemaine happy to do this. They're still in their defensive 50 as Sellers brings it across the ground to Josh Driscoll. 45 metres from his defensive goal. His kick not great for Spalding. It was a little low worm burner. It went through him, and now they've got a problem, but their numbers win the day through Templeton, who runs away. Little kick to Reid, who's been pretty good in this game. Just forced to hold it up now, the big man. Driscoll wanted it at half forward. Instead he goes a little short one to Rascola. He goes with the left boot. Strickland was the target, but getting back in front of him, it was nicely chopped off there. I think it was Rickett doing the work, and he kicks it into the middle of the ground. Parkin made a contest, lost his feet in the glue pot a little, got it to Asplin, to Templeton, Templeton to Sellers. It was a low one, he couldn't quite hold onto it. Cummins lost his feet, gets it back to Sellers again. It's a glue pot in the middle there, slipping and sliding, hard to get clean possession. Templeton, a little bit of class, got it back to Cummins. Cummins kick, Rascola in front position, takes the mark, but I reckon this is just probably beyond his range here.
Man on the mark's probably standing right on the 50-metre line.
It is. He goes into the pocket instead. Wasn't a good kick. McLeod got back and affected the spoil. He had a bit of support there through Fletcher, but he was taken in a tackle. The pressure from the Maryborough Castlemaine forwards was good. The umpire has decided he will ball it up after it was locked in. And we're back now, 5 minutes into this third quarter, about 40 metres from the Maryborough Castlemaine goal. Under a scoreboard which shows the half-time margin still Geelong District by a goal. Now the hit-out came towards Chalice, working hard against the boundary line. Now the kick came towards Buddy on centre wing. Off hands over the boundary line it goes, and we'll see a boundary throw in, smack bang on centre wing outer side. Took a long time for a score in the second quarter, taking a long time for a score in the third quarter as we've gone 5.5 minutes as the throw-in came in. Wilson knocked it his team's way, couldn't get boot to ball. Chalice, he was ripped off it. Whitney gets the left foot kick inside forward 50, and a strong mark there taken in front of Kroll by Pittman, who will go back and have a shot from 45 metres out. A little bit worse than a 45-degree angle. It would take a very good kick here as he goes with the left boot from the chalk mark, and he's just dragged it looking for distance. This is the first score of the second half, though. They're behind.
Just an update from the Curio Stewie. Bendigo at half-time, 10-7-67, leading Gippsland at 7-8-50.
Meanwhile, here as Poss just stole our man Dimps stretches thunder. He wanted to update that.
Get a headset on.
It is Geelong by 7 now as the kick in was punched back inside the 50. Matt Smith of Maryborough Castlemaine had his handball smothered by Fletcher, who knocked it back to Whitney. Left foot kick across the face. Miller getting back, has marked it hard against the boundary line. Now he will be put, the man on the mark is a couple of metres forward of the behind post. Now
Whitney's almost behind that row of seats.
He is on the most acute angle you can get here. He steps around, opens it up and snaps it across the face through for another behind to Miller, and that is the lead out to 8 points.
It's definitely an arm wrestle again this third quarter, isn't it, boys, up until those couple of behinds just then?
If somebody can get a couple of goal break, that will certainly change the whole face of this game.
Certainly will. The first goal becomes more important every minute that ticks by. We've gone over 7 now. We've seen just 2 behinds, and the margin is 8 points in favour of the Raiders as the kick in went to the outer side, and Bond, he couldn't quite mark it on the second attempt. He goes again at ground level. Dragged off the handball. Matt Smith picked it up. Back to Bond. He's gone to 55 metres from his defensive goal as he's bustled over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw-in.
It's the 7th one of the quarter, and we'd only had 9 throw-ins till half-time.
Yeah, a lot of play around that outer side boundary in this quarter as the ruckman, neither of them really got hands on the footy. They're scrapping it out. Plenty of smothers and tackles being laid 45 metres from the Geelong goal. The umpire going to have it again. 8-4, 6-8 here on Main FM. We're simulcasting through Pulse FM in Geelong and Goldfields FM in Maryborough. Up they go. It's hard to extract it there. There's a lot of bodies around this footy at the 50-metre line. Just a rolling scrum, and the umpire will come in and throw it up again. I reckon we're nearly at that trigger point where the umpires have enough and decide on a free kick as Reid won the hit out. It was knocked back to Fantella, who just handballed it high. Running onto it was Fitzsimmons, who snaps on goal and has kicked it just offline, in fact into the post, and through for a behind. They now lead by 9 points to the Raiders, and let's not forget, most of the scoring's been done to this Maryborough end where they're kicking in this third term.
Maryborough have done well to not concede any goals thus far this quarter.
Kick in came to Mitch Kennedy, who went long down the outer side to Asplund. He's got Templeton. It's been pretty good working for him, and the kick came into Driscoll, and Ashley Driscoll has marked it. The man on the mark will be taken back probably 10 metres from where he finished, which will put him at about 45 metres.
He was just trying to kid the umpire there. I think he's kidding himself more than anything. But Driscoll's gone back a long way. He's almost up on centre wing. He's
a long kick. Now, it's probably closer to 40 than 45, the man on the mark. He would have to carry this a long way to get it over. In fact, he's just fooled everybody because he came in, almost stopped and propped, went a little sideways one to Daniel Parkin, who's just getting back. Now he will chip it off. He chipped it off, doing fakes, lost his feet, and Buddy will clean up. McLeod now, opportunity goes begging. Fantella hard against the line, kicks towards Parker, off hands, couldn't quite complete the mark. Down low was right, was taken high. Pilgrim runs away with the advantage, got himself into a tight corner on the left boot, but found Templeton in the centre of the ground. He wheels it in towards forward 50, and Asplund, who's forced to stop and prop. Go back now, 2 kicks from home still. Goes across the ground, and this is a poor kick again. It's mopped up there by PJ DiSanto, who gives a quick handball to Matt Smith, the Geelong variety. A little handball now ends with Chalice, and they're away through half-back. The kick came there from Rickett and is marked by Holsfiend in the centre of the ground, who I thought he was going to find the man in Pittman. He just stretched it too far for him, and the Maryborough Castlemaine defence get back through Taylor Stewart. He kicks it to Templeton, he marks it on his chest. He's having a lot of the footy.
Midfield.
He does. He goes that way into Sellers in the middle of the ground. Sellers almost had to beckon Big Pilgrim to run on and get the handball. I don't think he was that keen on that, but he finds Driscoll in the middle of the ground. Cody Driscoll. He chips it to Matt Smith.
Now this is the sort of play that Shane Fisher said. He just wants them to chip it around and set it up until they can find that avenue to crack through to the goals.
And he does, with a little chip to Cole Rascola. He holds it up and then goes inside forward 50. It wasn't an easy option though for the forwards, and the Geelong defenders through Phyllis get back, gather it in the defensive 50. Just, the player that time lost his feet for Geelong as the handball had come over from Phyllis. That was Ben Fletcher, who just slipped over, and the ball rolls over the boundary line and out of bounds. Going to have a throw in. It is 53 Geelong, 44 Maryborough as the umpire throws the footy in. Pilgrim taps it down into the path there of Cummins, who couldn't gather. He goes again on hands and knees. So does Pilgrim. Got it to Parkin. Little left foot kick. Wasn't his best. And I don't think the Geelong player thought it was going to be 15 even. He handballed it quickly, Ben Bolton. Now they move it towards half forward in the middle of the ground. In fact, now with Parker. Parker, he's been pretty good, I reckon. He goes towards half forward. Again, big shoving it back. The target was Pittman. He copped the big double-hander from Taylor Stewart in the back. Now he's beyond 50 here. He's a long kick though. The left foot is right there. Miller uses the body nicely, but can't quite complete the mark on the second attempt. And off hands, it goes through for a behind. We've gone 12 minutes in the third quarter yet to kick a goal. Now this will suit Maryborough Castlemaine because they are coming home with the end where goals have been scored.
9 of the 14 have been kicked at the City end, Stu.
I was just going to say I might get Post to tell me how many, and I knew you'd come through.
Great mind, Stu, you know that.
Chalice got it to half forward with a kick. It comes in on Parker. He drifted at the back of the pack with the one mitt and just took a very nice little mark.
This might break that run of inside 50s without a major.
It certainly will, I would expect, because he's only 15 metres out there.
Hang on. Don't you be putting the moz on this bloke.
If Huntsman was here, he'd say he'd have to fall over to miss this. 15 metres out, he comes in and rounds out what's been a pretty good game. Luke Parker with a goal. Just gives the Geelong district side a little bit of breathing space as they get their 9th. They are 9 goals, 6 now, leading Maryborough Castlemaine, who are 6 goals, 8. So they've slipped that margin out to, what are we out to? 15 points?
16 points.
16 points. Yep. But that means 10 of 14 have now been kicked to the end. Geelong are kicking, and the end Maryborough will come home.
Halfway through this third quarter, so they really want to pile on a few more if they can if they want to create some sort of buffer to hold off a come home from Maryborough Castlemaine in the last quarter.
Hope you're enjoying this simulcasting on Pulse FM in Geelong and Goldfields here in Maryborough as we go back in the centre here on Main FM doing the ruck work. This time was Bolton, and it's knocked Maryborough Castlemaine's way again. Big pack in the middle of the ground. There's intensity here. I reckon you can just feel the next goal in this game is big. It's 16 points now. Geelong leading. If Maryborough Castlemaine can keep it within a couple of goals at three-quarter time, it will be a very good result for them. So the next goal, hugely important here. Up they go. Pilgrim knocks it down into the path of Matt Smith, who slipped Geelong's Matt Smith and got the handball away to cross. He ducks inside and then just throws it on the boot. It was a little bit of an untidy one, really, and it was chopped off back there by Collins. Collins of Geelong wheels it to the outer side of Fitzsimmons, who also goes short. He's got Broman presenting in the centre of the ground. The kick asked a lot of him. He had to slide in low. He couldn't quite complete the mark. Heavy high contact made there on Kennedy, but the umpire ruled that he just had ducked the head a little. So we will see a ball up instead, just in the corner of the centre square on the outer side. Still sunshine on that part of the ground. Shadows starting to grow on the grandstand side. As the umpire throws the ball into the air, Pilgrim knocked it down. Cummins, she might have been a little throw. He got away with it. The umpire lets it go. It goes towards half forward. Still a rolling scrum. Spilled out to Josh Driscoll. He chips it out. That was clever. And finds Templeton. Now he's 2 kicks from home. This is where they've been breaking down a little bit in this term. Brown presents for Templeton. He doesn't go there. Instead, he coughs it up to McLeod.
He had numbers left, right and centre of where he kicked that ball, but he just didn't pick the option.
That's been the story of the day, hasn't it? They're going into the forward line, Stu.
It has. Now they chain of handballs ends with Matt Smith of Geelong in the centre of the ground. He has a bounce and then sort of stopped and thought, what am I going to do next? Josh Driscoll marked it and then he copped a little errant elbow and it's 50 metres. He's going to be paid. No one's really remonstrated. I don't think it was anything too serious. It was just a little clip on the way past.
The umpy got sucked in by the crowd's noise, mate.
Yeah, it looked. I think it looked a lot worse than it was potentially, but I think the player just pulled it. But it's brought him to 50 metres. Now here's a long kick of the footy here, Josh Driscoll, but instead he goes short, and he's found Cody Driscoll. So Josh to Cody, who's just improved by, I reckon, only 5 metres.
Reminiscent of last Saturday night when they were sharing their own football, the boys.
Yeah, they are.
Like kick to kick in the backyard in the Driscoll household. Very
good players for Navarre as Cody Driscoll will kick this from 45. It goes to the goal square, off hands, rushed through there by PJ Di Santo. I like that name. And they get another behind Maryborough Castlemaine. In fact, that's their first score of the third quarter.
Certainly
We've gone 16 and a half minutes. As they move to 6-9, they're trailing 9-6 Geelong District. Nathan Smith now with it in the back pocket. Gee's kick was a little bit ordinary. It allowed an opportunity for Joel Cross to gather it. He's moved to centre half forward now as he kicks the ball long into the pocket. Fisted back into the centre of the ground. Smith of Geelong goes again. He laid a heavy tackle. They're handballing in close confines. Again he emerges with it, Smith. He throws it on the boot, and that was a better kick into the path of Parker, who marks it on centre wing. Now this is where they've been very good, Geelong. They've been good on the fast break, but this time Parker is held up, forced to go back over the man on the mark. He kicks it in towards half forward. Standing tall was Pittman.
Didn't take it.
Gee, the mark wasn't paid. It was...
Yeah, he didn't quite complete it. He didn't have a good purchase of it, Stu.
It's come to Chalice now at the 50. His little handball was meant for Holzfiend. He couldn't take it. He sharked it back off Spalding and then kicks on goal. But it was a hurried rush shot on goal. Through for a behind. They move to 9 goals, 7 Geelong, 6 goals, 9 Maryborough. So we're still at that 16-point margin. We've gone nearly 18 minutes in this third quarter here on Main FM, simulcasting with Pulse FM and Goldfields FM as Josh Driscoll receives the kicking, goes into the centre of the ground at Parkin to Sellers. Sellers goes wider. Riscola was his target. Bouncing ball, boundary line close. It is out just past centre wing for Maryborough grandstand side, probably midway between wing and half forward. We'll see a boundary throw in. In it comes. Reid in front position, knocked it down to Parkin, who then gave it back to him. The big man, though, was caught and dropped the ball. The free kick will go Geelong's way, and they will again go towards the big man, Pittman at half forward. Stewart with him, just worked him under the footy. Getting back there, Spalding in support. Stewart just gives it out to Spalding, picks it up. Tried to break his way through to Asplin. Had his pocket picked by Holzfiend. Might have got one in the back in the end. Umpire said no.
It was out of bounds before it was completed.
Big tackle from Dylan Barr there. Rushed him over the line. So we're going to have a throw-in. We're midway between wing and half forward here for Geelong. They lead by 16 points. Hit out came down to Parkin. He was swamped in the tackle. It's still just hard to get the footy out of there. Holzfiend gathers. He's grabbed in the tackle, and it's not coming out of there. Intense stuff. We're going to see another ball up. We're almost on the point of the square at the half-forward flank here for Geelong. 2 kicks from home. Up they go. Wilson jumped high, knocked it down to the path of Fitzsimmons. His scrubby little kick goes inside 50. Pittman gathers, goes back to Fitzsimmons. He handballs it in towards the centre of the ground. It comes back to Pittman. He's got a player further on there in Fantella, who kicks it into the square, and the big boy Miller stands tall and takes the mark, and he will go back and kick from point-blank range. There's that next goal we talked about, Wixie. This will make it a very handy 22 points.
That's it, mate. That's probably the biggest lead of the day. So, yeah, they've got their work cut out now, I think. not moving the ball well, breaking down across half forward when they do get it down there. So when the Raiders bring it down through the centre, they've got forward line, a couple of big targets, Miller and Pittman working well.
Certainly have. How are the stats holding up in this third term, Possus?
Third term, it's 10-8 Geelong's way inside 50s. Centre clearances 2 to Maryborough. We've only had a couple of goals scored so far. Free kicks, a couple of apiece, but shots on goal, it's now 7-1 in Geelong's favour.
Up they go in the middle of the ground. Reid knocked it down, but gee, that was a clever kick, came out of the pack there. Might have been Collins who just threw it on his boot in mid-air almost. It's rushed out towards the grandstand side, the forward flank, and we will see a boundary throw-in. In fact, it was Broman who did that fancy little kick out of the air, not Collins. It's tapped down to Aspland, who kicks it into the centre of the ground. Running back there, Fursland takes a good mark for Geelong. He's got Chalice here lined up on the outer side. He doesn't use him. Instead, he goes to half forward. Pittman.
Big push out there. Yeah. It's a free kick to Spalding.
He did. He just shoved Spalding out of the way, and he will take the free kick. Handball to Sellers. Little kick to Cummins at half back. We've gone 21 minutes.
He's got Strickland on again.
He has, but Strickland just sat back off there and just waited for it to come to him. It did. It was probably well read in the end. He handballs it to Aspland. Aspland through the middle of the ground. Disappointing kick, and it was chopped off there by Collins, who bends it around the corner to Wilson, who takes the mark. Asked to move it on now. Goes in towards half forward. Park and diving mark. Couldn't quite complete it on hands and knees. Got the numbers now, Geelong. They sweep it through the middle with a string of handballs that ends with Chalice. He's away now. Beckoned on by his teammate there in Fletcher. He takes a bounce and then goes in towards Pittman. Couldn't get it. Crum goes to Fitzsimmons, who snaps. Bouncing ball is a goal. He gets his second, and all of a sudden the lead is out to 28 points in favour of the Raiders.
Textbook stuff that, wasn't it? They come down straight down the middle again to one of your targets, one of your small fellas standing at his feet. He drops it, picks it up, snap across the body, goal.
I just can't work out the advantage to the city end here today. I mean, there's no breeze to speak of, but I mean, what have we had now? What is it? About 13, 15, 14 goals kicked at this end.
Yeah, it is. It's strange. One of those little anomalies that comes up from time to time. As we're back in the middle, Aspland took it off hands and he's not getting out of there in a hurry. In fact, the ball just spills out the back to Joel Cross, who kicks it towards Rascola. Geez, had some ordinary delivery to him today, Rascola. That was another bouncing footy. He dived on it, it comes out. He's got a little bit of support gathering now. Cross had fired his kick down. Still, they fight. 55 out from the Maryborough Castlemaine goal. Now they win clean possession through Barr, who's going backwards. Handballs back to Sellers in the middle of the ground. Gee, switches it to the outer side and finds a player all on his own. Is Strickland. He played on, got himself in a little corner on the right boot, then wheeled it into the top of the square, but Driscoll was just swamped. He had nobody there, and Parsons reached over the top of him and took the mark. Parsons, little short kick to Whitney in the back pocket, who goes short in turn, back to Parsons. He goes to McLeod. McLeod, the captain, kicks it down the wing, and gee, good strong mark taken in front there by Broman. It was a heavy punch from Josh Driscoll. As you hear the siren sound in the background, three-quarter time here on Main FM's Interleague action. It is 11-7-73 Geelong. They are leading 6-9-45 Maryborough. Wixie, we didn't see a score for several minutes in that